Livedoid vasculopathy. Livedoid vasculopathy is a hyalinizing vascular disease characterized by thrombosis and ulceration of the lower extremities. Pathogenesis involves hyalinization and thrombosis rather than leukocytoclastic vasculitis, which affects the small blood vessels and causes inflammation. Pathophysiology. Actually, there are many suggested pathogenesis for this disease, but here I would like to mention a few only. Livedoid vasculopathy is caused by thrombotic occlusion of the cutaneous microcirculation, which can restrict blood supply to the tissues. Livedoid vasculopathy likely has a procoagulant pathogenesis, which may include factor V Leiden mutation, protein C and S deficiency, and hyperhomocystinemia. The underlying mechanism of the development of livedoid vasculopathy may be related to the development of fibrin cuff, white cell trapping, microthrombi, a defect of endothelial cell plasminogen activator, platelet dysfunction, enhanced fibrin formation. Livedoid vasculopathy seems to be primarily an occlusive condition rather than an inflammatory condition, which makes it different than the other vasculitis we see normally. Epidemiology. Livedoid vasculopathy is an uncommon condition, occurs in approximately 1 in 100,000 people in North America. Women are more often affected than men. More than 70% of the cases are women. Some people suggest that during pregnancy, women face protein C and S deficiency, which might be related to the development of livedoid vasculopathy. The average age at diagnosis is 32 years. It's most prevalent in the people aged 15 to 50 years. Clinical presentation. The initial lesions of livedoid vasculopathy, which often appear on the lower extremities in clusters or groups, eventually ulcerate over a period of months to years and form a regular pattern of superficial ulcers. Here you can see a patient affected with livedoid vasculopathy. It occurs only on the lower extremities. Workup. There are no specific lab tests for livedoid vasculopathy, although elevated level of platelet p-selectin, which is a cell adhesion molecule, and endothelial thrombomodulin can be an indicator. Endothelial thrombomodulin is an anticoagulant glycoprotein, so a decrease in this molecule can cause livedoid vasculopathy. Other imaging. Doppler studies can be useful in evaluating the disease. Microcirculation can be studied by capillary microscopy, transcutaneous oxygen measurement, laser Doppler flowmetry, laser Doppler perfusion imaging, and microlymphography. We can also do a skin biopsy. Here in the skin biopsy, you would see the hyalinization occurring around the vessels and also the mild edema, and inside the vessels you can see there are clot formation and fibrin deposits. Management of livedoid vasculopathy. Actually, the management of livedoid vasculopathy differs from patient to patient. If one thing is not working, we can always go to another. The most famous treatment for livedoid vasculopathy is the use of rivaroxaban. It inhibits platelet activation and it causes healing of the ulcers, and also it decreases the pain. Pentoxifylline, also called Rental, it decreases the blood viscosity. Enoxaparin, also called low molecular weight heparin, it increases the activity of antithrombin 3. Intravenous immunoglobulin IVIG. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Most patients after 10 sessions of hyperbaric oxygen therapy report a decrease in their pain level and also healing of the ulcers. Danazol is a steroid which has a fibrinolytic action. The patient must understand that livedoid vasculopathy is a chronic condition whose effect can sometimes be improved by medication. When it resolves, it leaves white scars such as these. Prognosis. Livedoid vasculopathy, although painful, is not associated with any loss of life or limb. Case. A 53-year-old woman with no relevant past medical history presented with multiple skin ulcers on her feet. The ulcers were painful and had been present for 2 years. Physical examination revealed an ulcer measuring approximately 3 cm on the medial aspect of the left foot. Patient past medical history and tests ruled out hypercoagulability, systemic inflammatory disease, and infection. In the evaluation of the peripheral artery disease, no alteration between the ankle brachial index or in the Doppler ultrasound scan. Skin biopsy showed fibrin clots in the dermal vessels, extravasated blood vessels, hyalinization of the vessel walls, and new vascularization consistent with livedoid vasculopathy. Treatment was initiated with aspirin 300 mg per day, intravenous alpostradil, which is a prostaglandin, 60 microgram per day, and subcutaneous enoxaparin 1 mg per kilogram per day. These treatments resulted in mild reduction of the pain and almost had no effect on the healing of the ulcer. The patient was subsequently started on rivaroxaban 10 mg per day, which resulted in full resolution of the pain after a week and healing of the ulcers at 3 months. 12 months after initiation of the treatment with rivaroxaban, the patient was free of pain and ulcers. Here you can see on the left side the ulcer when the patient presented to us, and on the right side you can see the healed ulcer. There is still a livedoid racemosa present, but that's okay. The patient was pain free and the ulcer was healed.